This morning we're going to look at tagging with particular reference to Office 365, but the rules also hold true on the Azure scape. On the left-hand side here on the menu, we can see under the administration tool here, tags. If I click in tags, up we come here with a list of tags. Now, tags are used to identify pieces of information that you want to report on in a particular way. And tags, there are 4 types of tags. There are automated tags, calculated tags, manual tags, and rules-based tags. And I'm going to take you through all 4 types today. The very first type I'm going to take you through is automated tags. Automated tags are tags that get created from an automatic setting that you already have in your Active Directory. You'll see a whole bunch of tags along here that you can see. We have a whole bunch of default tags, for instance, line of business, which are used in reporting. This may or may not be populated, but if it's not populated, you can populate it using the methods I'm going to talk you through. Simple way to add a tag. There's an add tag button at the top here. I'm going to press a button called add tag. First thing you do is give it a name. I'm just going to call it test tag for Chris. What we're doing, I'm going to give it exactly the same description, which is kind of what most people do with names and tags. You'll see a whole blank field here with values. You'll see a number of buttons, plus, which is to add something, import from AD, apply rules, and this little button here, which is kind of refresh. Import from AD is what we're going to cover here because we're going to cover automated tags. So automated tags, as I mentioned before, are tags that get created automatically based on information you have in your Active Directory. The fields I'm going to use here, if I click on here, you get a whole list of fields that are available to you for automated tagging. There are some of the basic AD ones, like city, state, office location, manager, employee ID. There's a couple that come from the Office 365 space, i.e. usage, location, last sign-in country. And you'll see here that you've also got access to the first 16 extension attributes within your AD, should you use those. The one I'm going to use today is one called Employee ID, because I happen to know we have that set up particularly. So I'm just going to click Employee ID, and what it's going to do is going to say, do I want to import it? And I'm going to say yes. And there you go. Here's the Employee ID tags as set up within our Active Directory. And as you can see, we have set up a number of fields to identify types of people, whether they be admin accounts, contractor accounts, disabled accounts, guest accounts, permanent accounts, or whatever. To save that tag, I simply press save. And there you go, you get a tag viewed successfully. To apply the rules, again, I press apply the rules. You get the rules being applied in the background. And if I do this piece here, this should refresh the tags. I don't actually know whether this works the first time in or whether I have to go out and in again. No, I have to go out and in again. Apologies for that. I can't remember what I called it now. Test tag for Chris, that's the one. If I go back in here, you'll see now there's a number along here. So it's actually identified a number of accounts here, 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 and here. And if I click on one of these little buttons here, it tells me these are the accounts that have been identified. So you can see that these are pretty much all the admin accounts within our tenant, nicely highlighted. Does that make sense so far, Harold?
It certainly does. Just to mention as well, the refresh that Chris pressed, if it's a very large company, this might take a few minutes, so just be a little bit patient because it's got to go through every single record. And maybe just one more thing to mention is these tags also get refreshed by jobs that run in the background automatically every evening, every day, every hour, depending on what it is.
That's cool. Thank you very much, Harold. Now, the one thing that tagging can't allow for is whenever your Active Directory doesn't have any information. So although these tags are automated and it's adding up to 22, 23, 24, 29, 174 to it's probably about right, actually. That's probably the number of accounts we have, but sometimes accounts get missed. I'll demonstrate that through a different tag if you don't mind. I'll just come out of here and we'll use a what I'm going to call a company tag. Now, what company tags are normally used in the line of business, and this might already be filled in, and it is excellent. But I'm going to use it differently. I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to create a new one so that I don't interfere with what's going on here. Again, add a tag. If I could type, it would be very useful, and spell. These things would work a lot better. Similarly, I'm going to import from AD here. I'm going to import company name. Now this has imported every single company in our system. I'm going to save it. I'm going to come out again by hitting the tags piece here. I called it new company tag. Apply the rule. It should refresh. I should have done that in the first place. Apologies. And there's the numbers there. Now you'll see that we have defined 34 different companies, which is not necessarily particularly useful, particularly in a tenant of our size when we're only really talking 300 users. So 34 companies for 300 users is a bit much. The other thing that's not being reported here is people who have not got any company name set. So this is where we come on to the second type of tagging, which is calculate tagging. And what I mean by that is we can now add something in here to calculate all the people who don't have a company set. And I'm just going to show you how to do this here. Plus to add a tag goes in at the top, I believe. I give it a, all right. Oh, sorry, it's in at the bottom. Apologies. A tag called no company set. I'm going to spell it correctly this time. This piece here lets me edit the rule. And in I go. Now there's a whole bunch of information I can select for. I can select from an AD user, a Azure AD user, a device, a group, a license, a resource, disk, but at the moment I'm just looking for the user field within AD. That will then open up a number of other fields. And the condition I want to look for is when the company name is blank or is null. Is blank, then I'm going to add a condition, or the company name, I missed it again there, is null. I can select here to match all conditions. So obviously that won't work in this case because it is blank, it is null or mutually exclusive, but I could have a double condition here to say if a company starts with a C and it's got D as its third letter, then that's what I want to have here. Save it here. Do a nice save, sorry, here as well. Apply the rules. Refresh, and there you go. Here at the bottom now there's 183 fields. So basically I have now got every single account in my company, the ones that are tagged correctly with company and the ones that are not tagged at all because AD entry is missing. So I can now account for every single company, every single account within the system. Does that make sense, Harold?
That makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
Excellent. Now I'm going to show you a little bit more powerful way about this tag. You will see here LHD financing, LHD consulting, LHD services, LHD SOC, LHD rooms. It might well be that my line of business I really only want to report on LHD. I don't care about whether it's finance, because you can see here, there's 1 here, there's 7 here, there's 5, 1, 1, 4, 4. Do I really want to be reporting at a high level on that granularity, or would I rather just look at something that was LHD? I shall show you how to do that then. If I decided that I wanted to edit this particular one, sorry, I need to rename it first. I'm going to call it LHD full stop. Change the name here, and I'm going to change how the tag works. Instead of saying company name equals to LHD finance, I'm going to change the condition to starts with LHD. I'm going to save that. I'm going to save this. Let's get this in the right order. Apply the rules, and then refresh. Now you'll see now that that number has 30. However, all these entries here are now giving me duplicates. So if I look in I don't know, this one here, where it's position person Victoria Wright. Very lovely she is too. And I click in here, I will see Victoria Wright in here as well, somewhere along the line, because we've now duplicated how it's being reported. I can't actually see, there it is, sorry, Victoria Wright, I can see it there. So ideally what we would then do is we would delete these tags here. Very simple to delete them. If I deleted the right one there, I deleted the wrong one, can you believe it? Never mind. I'll add it in again, just to be a good exercise for me to remember not to do stupid stuff. So everything starting in LHD, I'm going to delete. Oh, actually, my one is at the bottom there. Apologies, I didn't delete it. Save that. So LHD is a single entry then with 30 individuals. Just to show you how this works within the product set, all this tagging, I'm going to flip up here to the Office 365 piece and look at the overview page. This will take a few moments to load because it has some powerful business objects, information behind it. Talk amongst yourselves. Here we go. Now ignore all this screen. It's the next bit I want to have a look at, which is the overview. At the bottom here, we can see cost by tags. Now there's a whole bunch of default tags, as I mentioned there, line of business, business head, developed country, etc. But I created a new tag called new country. And if you can see there at the bottom, there's all the new company tags that I've created. It's got LHD. It hasn't refreshed. There's the 30 users there. Tells me that those 30 users are using. So the tags are instantly available within the product set to for you to look at reporting on that level. So these tags, similarly, the one that I created slightly earlier was a test tag. Test tag for Chris, I think I called it. Searching here, I can see all the test tags for Chris's, and you can see here that these are the tags broken down into types. So as you might imagine, we're spending most of our money with our permanent staff. And as you might imagine, our consultants, our contractors aren't costing us anything, and our guests aren't costing us anything, which is absolutely as it should be. So that's just a practical example of where these tags show up and can be reported on.
Just to mention, Chris, if you don't mind, these tags will then also automatically come into all the analytics reports this evening. So the analytics reports gets refreshed automatically every evening. So at the next refresh, so tomorrow morning, when you go into all the analytics reports, you'll be able to filter everything else against that particular tag category. Yeah.
Now, going back to what Harold was saying there about filtering into the reports, I mentioned line of business earlier. That's one of the primary tags that we use within the company, within most companies, should I say. And you'll see here that what we've done is we've basically taken our company tags and we've added them together to group them in. So we had 34 companies, if you remember, and we've grouped those 34 companies into 11 sections. And this is how we're defining our line of business. So this will be the high-level reporting throughout the entire product on these lines of business. As I mentioned earlier, this is missing anything that's got a null in it. So it's always good to have a catch-all at the bottom. That's a good way to do it. I've worked with a number of companies that have got considerably more than 34 company names in their Active Directory. Some of them have even got thousands. And I can tell you that most finance people do not want to see a report that has thousands of lines that says this is how they should recharge. They basically want the 5 divisions within the company that they can charge. And this is a way that you can do this without messing up your Active Directory itself. So that's kind of automated tags, and it was also, I talked a little bit about derived tags there, which is where you create a condition that allows another piece of tagging in. I'm going to show you another type here, and this is again, I'm just going to call this calculated tag test. I'm going to have to delete all these at the end. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to import, I'm not actually going to import anything. I'm just going to create the tag from scratch. And one of the reasons for doing this is that I might want to identify people from things. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. I'm going to create a tag called things. I'm going to look at the user record. I'm going to add a condition where the user principal name contains the value printer, or it contains the value. By the way, you can choose contain. The selection items here are starts with, ends with, contains, equals to, matches expression, which is something I don't use very often. Not contains, not equals to, is null, is blank, is null or blank, is not null, is not blank. So pretty much everything you can think of is in there. But another thing that a thing might have is it might be a room. I can save that, and again, save this, apply the rules, refresh. This is where I find out we have no company, no parts of our principals who have no, I was pretty sure we had a printer somewhere. Oh, I have to come out again, don't I?
Yeah, when you create a new tag, you need to just come back in.
That's my fault.
Calculated test tags, a bit high up there.
That's one. Thank you, Harold. So there you go. We've actually got 6 things in our company. One of the things we might want to add in is something called people. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say we want everything that's not a thing. And the way we would do that is similarly, again, we'd add the AD user, add the condition, where the user principal name does not contain printer. Add a condition where the user principal name does not contain room. And then we make those conditions match all conditions. So basically we're saying if it's not printer or if it's not a room, it must be a person. It's very twisted logic, I know, but this is kind of just an example of how this tagging works. Apply the rules, refresh, and we can see that there are 314 accounts on our system. 6 of them are things by this definition, and 308 of them are people. Now that's just a very simple example of how to use calculated tagging based on some of the fields that are available to you. but this actually can be quite useful if you've got some very good information about how you want to charge. As an example, some printers, scanners, rooms, etc., are licensed with Microsoft products because they use the facilities, but you might have a central cost code for them as opposed to they also might be shared mailboxes, which is more than likely, and it's very, very hard to ascertain who belongs to a shared mailbox. So this is a very useful way of doing this kind of tagging. So that's kind of calculated tagging. I want to talk about manual tagging now a bit, and manual tagging is basically very straightforward, and I shall say we've got one here already defined called long-term leave. Now, long-term leave, we've defined 4 tags: extended leave, furlough, which is a very hip term at the moment, long-term illness, maternity leave. These tags are not defined based on any rule set or any condition. These are just tags, and they have to be applied manually. And now what I mean by that is they actually have to be applied to an individual, either through a manual tagging process or through a rule. And I'll talk about the rules in a minute, hopefully. But just to show you as an example how to tag someone, if I look at long-term illness, there's only one person on long-term illness. They're not really on long-term illness, by the way. That this is just us playing about with tags. But if I myself was on long-term illness, I could go into my user display here. I could find myself, which I will do. Hopefully there's only one of me. Yes, there is only one of me here. And you'll see here there's a thing called tags. Now there's multiple tags, and the reason there's multiple tags is I play about with tagging quite a lot. But one of the things I can do here is I can add a tag. Gives me a list of every tag that's available, and by the way, it gives me a history of all my current tags and when they were set. If you remember the tag that we had there, it was called long-term leave. And the value I want to give myself is long-term illness. And you'll notice here there's a start date and end date. Now these can be used to tag people who are on maternity leave or whatever, but I'm starting today and my long-term illness is only going to last for 3 days because I'm very, very good at recovering. Add the tag. That's now done. If I save and now go back to the tag page on here, and go back into the long-term leave, we will see that long-term illness, there is now 2 people, and one of them is me. Now this is manual tagging, and it's very useful for such things as highlighting accounts that may not be active but should not be deleted. A lot of the reporting within this product set reports on not use of a license, but there are sometimes very good reasons why licenses aren't used. It could be maternity leave, could be someone on furlough or long-term sick, and it's most people's process is not to delete those accounts and not to disable them, or actually sometimes to disable the accounts but not remove the licenses. And you wouldn't want some keen person in the help desk coming along and deleting the accounts and doing things with them, when in fact you know that the person's on maternity leave and the account shouldn't be touched. So this is a good way of highlighting that kind of thing.
If I can just add, Chris, I've also seen it being used, for example, you're busy supporting people, and when you're on a call with someone, we actually have a Teams bot that's coming due for release soon, and in the Teams bot you can change tags of an individual while you're on Teams chat with them or in the tool itself. And maybe you say this person needs the SAP client reinstalled, or this person's laptop needs replacement, or require a new headset, and then someone centrally can go and look at those tags and see right in this last week who all needs a new headset. So you can use them for operational reasons, all sorts. They come in very useful.
Absolutely. So I'm going to show you that. So those are manual tags. So we've done automated, we've done kind of derived calculated tags, we've done manuals tags, and now we're going to do rules-based tags. Now rules-based tags are very powerful because it allows us to tag after the fact, and I'll explain what I mean by that a little bit. First of all, I'm going to go into my calculated tag test. If you remember here, we created two tags, people and things, and these are worked out in a particular, very simple way. It's either a printer or a room, or it's not a printer or a room. Now, we might find somewhere along the line that actually we want to get something else that's slightly within one of these categories, but not within the other category. And I'll explain what I mean in a minute. Go into a custom role. I'm going to create a new role. These are rules, and again, I'll explain as we go along. Very straightforwardly, you give it a name. Test rule for Chris. Can't believe there's any of them about. Again, we got an option to match all conditions or just some conditions. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to, if you remember, we've got a category of things and people, but actually it's not as simple as that, because there are certain accounts that we want to, let's say we want to report them as a thing, even though they're a people, if that makes sense. One of the things we can do here is, again, we select the type of information we want. I'm going to use AD user again. Going to add a condition, and the condition is going to be the user principal name starts with admin. Very simply and straightforward. And again, I can add a condition, another condition, starts with admin, ends with .com, etc., or something else. And then there's an action. What action do we want to take? The action we want to take is we want to give it a tag called calculated tag test, and we want to put it in things, not people. So this is, as I say, a tag after the fact. There's an ability here to test the role. I'm going to test it. It's going to tell me what happens. And there you go. It's found 11 resources called admin, and it's going to add tags to those 11. They've all got admin, so it's picked up the right number of people. I can do save, and I've now got a rule that will move everything that used to be a person starting admin into a tag called things. I'll show you another practical example of this.
Chris, I wonder if it's just worth showing the entities while you're there as well. So if you're trying to search, so at the top you can just filter, let's say you're not quite sure what to search for, you can go and use this to go and find a value before you create your rule. So
that's good.
Yeah, just to have access to data, you can put any kind of search string in there. I think it's admins I'm looking for. I'm not 100% sure. So I'm searching for something starting with 80, and then I see below it's admins. Yes, okay, now I need to search for admins. So it's just a view into your world to go and figure out what to search for.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much. Apply filter as condition. I like that too. Contains admin. So that was a different entity search there. I was looking. It was just getting me everything with admin, not just starting with admin. And it added that filter, so I can delete that filter because I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, and it's very useful. Chris just mentioned there's not an Azure session, but you could be trying to understand how to put different Azure workloads against a particular platform name or something like that. And this is where you'd go and find and say, okay, that looks like that is the naming standard that was used. And you find those resources. It's the same in the 365 world.
Yeah. Now, I'll show you another useful way of using this tagging, which has more practical cases. If you just give me 2 seconds. I do want to navigate away. Thank you very much. Let's create another role. So this is a company role. I'll explain in a minute. As I mentioned before, AD can be very poorly set up, and companies attributed to accounts sometimes non-existent. So what we're looking for here is we're a user principal name. Sorry, it's not user principal name, it's company name. Apologies. The company name is null or blank. That's the condition I'm looking for. So there's no company name set at all. going to test the rule here just quickly. There's 183 different accounts here. Okay, some of them are different accounts. And what we're going to do here is we're going to apply some logic to put it into the right company. And we're going to do this by adding another condition. We're going to call it user principal name. The condition is going to be ends with, and the value is going to be. So what I'm saying here is using a piece of logic. The company name is blank. However, the domain of the UPN is itexactglobal.com. So that means it must be in a company that I know. So I'm going to put it into line of business, manufacturing. I'm just using it off the top head. And by the way, I need to click this to say I want to match all conditions. So the company name is null or blank, but the user principal name ends with itexactglobal.com. That means the line of business must be manufacturing. So I can't do this with automated tagging. I can't do it with calculated tagging, but I can do it after the fact with what I'm calling rules-based tagging. Test the rule here, find a few things that wasn't in that rule before. Save it, and that rule now exists. So we've been able to identify an account, even though it's got no company. We've been able to identify that it should be in a particular company based on the fact that it's got a domain name of a certain type. One other, again, useful thing we might want to do with another rule. Call this person rule. Gonna select the user again. Gonna select the condition with the employee ID. I'm sure it was in here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Employee ID starts with, sorry, not starts with, equals to. Now the value is permanent. If you remember, there's a permanent field in there. If I do a test there, it will find all the people with permanent. There you go. These are all permanent employees of the company. I might want to tag them additionally as, do you know what? These are actually got to be tagged with furlough, because I'm going to put the entire business on furlough, or maybe not the entire business. Maybe I'll just only do anybody who is called or name starts with Chris. So basically, I've taken everybody. That didn't work, did it? Oh, because I didn't do and. That's a good example of the and. So that was getting me anybody with permanent employment status, anybody with user principal name, with Chris. If I now do the match conditions, that will put it down, and that's now going to tag me as on furlough. Thank you very much for the money, Harold. And that's an example again of how rules can be used in a pretty powerful way to mark a record as a particular type of record to be reported on in a particular way. And that's pretty much tagging in a nutshell. Every system is different. Every company is different. Every AD is different. Everyone will have different requirements to set up. But if you can get the information and the tagging correct, the reporting becomes correct, and you're able to make better and better decisions. And that's pretty much all for me. Unless you've got any questions, Harold?
No, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate it. And as Chris mentioned, we'll have another series as well on how to do tagging in Azure, but it's the same engine, which also means you can have consistent company rules and things across both your Microsoft core environments, both the Azure and the Office 365 side. But we'll follow that up with another video. Thank you very much, Chris.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm about to show you how to do a new feature within our tagging engine that allows us to tag based on group membership. I'll just go to a screen and show you exactly what I mean. First of all, let's find a group. If we go under groups here, under the Office 365 tab, we can see a whole bunch of groups here that's got some membership. So in this particular case, I want to tag everybody in the ABS projects group, 6 people with a particular tag. So what I do is I got a custom rules, add rule, same as usual. Put ABS projects users in the group tag, nice and straightforward. First thing I do is I click this apply cascaded button to make sure it's yellow. The rule's got to be active. This is got to be yellow. We can do the match all conditions if we want, but we don't need to just yet. We're going to select the Azure AD group as the type of resource we're going to look at. The condition we're going to ask for is if the name of the group is equal to ABS project, as we originally said. And the condition we're going to do is we want to tag this group with a particular tag that we've already set up with a employee state of paid leave. This is just an arbitrary thing. So basically every single member who's in the ABS projects AD group, I want to tag with an employee status of paid leave. If I press test rule, which I should always do, it will come up, it will show me the group that's tagged, and then the 6 members within the group that are also going to be tagged. I close that, I save it, pretty straightforward. Go back to custom rules, just to be on the safe side, I always apply rules. Let me just make sure I'm applying them all. And if I now go to the Office 365 users display, I can click on here, shows me all the users eventually. I can put a filter. I can say, I want to look at tagged users that come from the employee states, paid leave, apply the filter. And there we go. The 6 people who are members of that group are tagged. And it's as simple as that. Let's hope that helps.